From the First Coast News studios, this is On Point with your host, Shannon Ogden.
Joining me is Florida's junior senator, George LeMieux. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
We've been looking forward to it for some time. Let's begin with some news of the day here. Kind of a very ugly beige book, more like a dark brown book today from the Fed, saying the economy shows widespread deceleration. That's not what we want to hear.
No, this is a very challenging time in America and in Florida. In Florida, we're at 11.5% unemployment. We unfortunately are #1 in the country in the first half of the year on being behind on our mortgage payments and in mortgage foreclosure. This is the toughest economy that anybody can remember in Florida. And just when things were starting to look up a little in the spring, this summer has been that letdown. And you hear it all across the state, people saying, look, my business was starting to pick up and now I feel like it's falling behind. So I'm very concerned about it. This is a very tough time. I have some legislation that I'm working on in Washington to try to help our small businesses. We are a small business state, nearly 2 million of them in Florida. Our community banks are having a tough time making loans to these folks. We've got some legislation we're working on that may help those banks and get some more money out on the streets so they can start hiring again.
What will the impact be of ending Bush-era tax cuts?
It'll hurt. You know, right now we don't need a tax increase, and there is bipartisan opposition to raising taxes. 4 of my Democratic colleagues in the United States Senate have said we should not be raising taxes in the middle of a recession, the Great Recession. So let's not increase taxes. Let's not take more money away from small businesses and working families when they need the money to make ends meet.
All right, let's talk a little politics here. This is an election year, of course. Let's have some predictions from you. What are the chances of the GOP actually taking the Senate?
Well, I like to say if the election were held today, we'd have a very good day. I think we're going to pick up a number of seats. It's hard to prognosticate as to whether or not we would actually pick up 10, which is what we would need to get to 51. But we look good across the country. We are competing in places that we haven't competed in a long time. And I think we're going to have a very good day. I think it may take 2 cycles for us to take back the Senate. It may take 10 and 12. I like to tell folks this is halftime. We're going to win the first half of the football game, and then we got to win the second half in 12.
And one of the toss-ups for the Senate race, of course, is right here in Florida with Chris Rubio and me. So I've been very curious about this since the beginning of this. You, of course, were Governor Chris' chief of staff. You ran his campaign to get him elected governor. He appointed you to the job you have in the United States Senate. How do you endorse Marco Rubio after all of that?
Well, it's not something I wanted to do, but I'm a Republican, and I've been a Republican my whole career. The reason why I know Charlie Crist and we became friends and started working together is we were young Republicans together, these many years ago. So I was disappointed in his decision. Now, I am personally grateful for all of the public service opportunities that Charlie Crist provided for me, but at the end of the day, I got to stick with my principles.
Well, why not just sit this one out, not endorse anybody? I mean, that's a heck of a thing for one to do for another, is to place him in the United States Senate, you know?
Well, and again, I am grateful for this tremendous opportunity to represent 18.5 million people in the United States Senate. But I have learned, especially in the last year, and it's almost the 1-year mark since I've been there, that this is a very critical time in our nation's future. We've got to control our spending. Our debt is out of control and is cascading away from us. Right now, we are more than $13 trillion in debt. We're going to be 23, 24, 25 by the end of the decade. We spend $200 billion a year on interest payments alone. It'll be $900 billion by the end of the decade. This is one of the major challenges facing this country. I believe in the principles of my party, and I believe that we need people who are going to go to Washington, who are going to make tough decisions that may not be popular, but right decisions for the future of the country. And that's why, even though it's not personally something I like doing, I felt that I had to come out and support our Republican candidate.
Are you all still friends?
We are, and I talk to him about issues. It's my role as a senator to deal with the governor of the state of Florida, and we collaborated a lot together on the oil spill response. But it's a little awkward, as you might expect.
I bet that it is. What was his reaction? Did you call him and say I'm endorsing your opponent, or did he just obviously find out, and what was his reaction?
Well, we talked about it. Before he left the party, I tried to convince him to stay and to fight it out as a Republican. He's been a Republican his whole career. He decided to walk a different path. It was a path I couldn't walk on with him, but he understood, I think, that because of the place I was in and my beliefs, I couldn't follow him on this journey. I don't have any personal animosity for him. I wish him well personally, but in this campaign, I couldn't
Just
support
not for
him.
this. And one more question on this, and I'll get off this. Had Governor Chris done everything else the same, any policy decision, any veto or lack thereof, but stayed in the Republican Party, would you have endorsed him?
I had endorsed him. I would have still been supporting of him if he were a Republican. But when he chose to take this path and leave the party, it's not a path I could walk on with him.
All right, should we take this as any indication of your plans for 2012? You voted against Kagan. You are sticking with the Republican Party despite what we just talked about. So you know, for those of us who try to read the tea leaves in politics, does this mean there's something, an election for you in 2012?
Well, I don't know when I may seek public office in the future. I've been very honored to serve in the Senate. It is a tremendous honor to represent Florida. There's only 100 of us, and I work hard every day to try to do the best I can for Florida.
Did you think about, I'm sorry,
but I haven't made a final decision. I've got 4 small kids. Max is 7, Taylor's 5, Chase is 3, and we have a brand new baby girl.
Holy moly, congratulations.
So we've got our hands full, but when the year's over, my time in the Senate is done, my wife and I are going to sit down and think about, you know, whether I can do public service again in the future. I'd like to.
Did you at all flirt with the possibility of running for the seat you currently have this time around?
I did not, because I didn't think I could run and learn the job and do the job all at the same time. What I told the folks that I have the opportunity to work with in the Senate, I said, I want to get 6 years out of 16 months, and I want to do the best I can for Florida. Florida only gets 2 senators, just like these smaller states like Rhode Island and small population states, and we have to work, I think, extra hard to get Florida's interest across in the Senate. So I didn't want to spend time out campaigning while I was trying to learn the job and do the job.
What was it like to go from chief of staff to be a political operative and then to be a member of the world's most exclusive club? It must be pretty cool.
Well, I didn't have much time to think about it because it was about a year ago now, and it'll be a year ago tomorrow when I was sworn in. I was picked in the end of August, and then I had 2 weeks to do transition and try to get up there, pick a staff, get going. And
whose desk did you get? Do you know who's had it before you?
Yeah, you know, on the Senate floor, I have a desk that Senator Martinez had and Senator Santorum had before him, and it's all those desks are, you know, 100 years old. It's a really, if you're a student of history, it's an interesting place.
So you indicated you're working on legislation now, so it seems to be you're going to continue working through the time you have left. Give us a little peek at what is left for you to do there and what you're most proud of so far.
Well, what I have left is I'm working on a piece of legislation right now, like I said before, that will help small businesses in Florida. Doesn't raise the deficit, doesn't raise the debt, doesn't increase taxes, but it provides more money for community banks, not Goldman Sachs, but the banker down the street, to lend money to small businesses in a place like Florida. That bill also has some language in there that I'm very proud of, that I've worked on since the time I got to the Senate, to fight health care fraud. We've got a huge problem in Florida with healthcare fraud. We waste $60 to $100 billion a year in Medicare alone. I've got a solution, I think, that will solve a lot of that problem and stop the healthcare fraud before it starts. I hope that that can get passed too. Besides that, the thing that I'm most proud of and the thing I talk about most is trying to stop the excessive spending in Washington, the out-of-control spending. I have a proposal that says let's go back to 2007. If we capped our spending levels at 2007, which should be fine, that was the last year of the boom. And if I ask Floridians, would you like to have as much money as you had in 07 today? Most of them say yes.
Right.
If we could cap spending at that level, we'd balance the budget at 13 and we'd cut the national debt in half by 20. I'm trying to bring those kind of common sense solutions to Washington.
Do you spend any time while the Senate's out of session campaigning with Rick Scott?
I have not yet. I'm going to see Rick Scott this Friday in Orlando. We're having a big Republican Party event. I talked to him over the weekend. I look forward to helping him. I've been helping our federal candidates. That's kind of my focus, being in the United States Senate. So I've been trying to help our folks who are running for the House of Representatives and help Marco Rubio, who's running for the U.S. Senate. And I'm out there on the campaign trail doing the best I can.
Very good. Senator George LeMieux, pleasure to meet you. Good luck with the time remaining, and I certainly hope you come back next time you're in Jacksonville.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks very much.
Thank you,
okay.
Shannon.